A-E-1.
All right, welcome to At Sometime Somewhere from Audio-Technica, a podcast about art and culture in New York City. My name is Nick A.M. With me today is Manon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day in New York. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you.
I know that you are a multi-hyphenate. You are a filmmaker, a photographer, a creative consultant, and I guess some would say a downtown girl.
It's true.
Yeah. Cool. Well, out of all those things that you currently do, what are you currently engaged with right now?
I'm still doing consulting and
Cool.
video jobs, as they come. I really want to pick up my show, Story of My Fucking Life, again.
That show is awesome.
Thank you.
I was just watching some of it and I was like, wait, we need more of this.
Did you get Downtown Girl from the theme song?
Yes.
My friend Sabrina wrote that. She's the best.
Yeah, she's really talented. I've been to some of her parties pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really go out as much as I used to, but they were really cool. I mean, I know you guys are really good friends.
We grew up together. We interned at V-Files together,
Okay,
and I
cool.
made a bunch of her music videos, and she's my best friend. And she made that theme song, which is very perfect for me and for the show. But I'm glad to hear that you watched it. I really want to bring it back.
It's produced really well.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed by it, and I think it really captures this cool vibe of New York City that's very authentic. I feel like I'm kind of it's almost like I'm watching if the cast of Kids had their own show, but a bit more lighthearted.
It's funny you say that because they kind of did at the time.
Cool.
This show called Kid America Club kind of changed my life when I watched it and really inspired me.
That's really, I didn't know that.
You guys should all
existed.
check it out.
Was it on YouTube?
I'm sure maybe June has seen it. It's on YouTube, but it was on public access TV.
And it was the same cast from the movie?
It wasn't the same, definitely some of the same people, Leo Fitzpatrick.
Okay, yeah.
Probably Justin Pierce, Harold Hunter, but it was this guy Kid America made this show called Kid America Club, and all the New York people were in it at the time, Aaron. It's hard to name because it's just kind of everybody. It was kind of just the downtown scene at the time, but it was a crunk Sesame Street, and
That's
it was
really
on public
cool.
access TV, and it was really cool.
So it's almost like you're kind of holding the torch and
A little bit.
continuing that
It
legacy
really
for today.
inspired me. During COVID, I was really bored.
Okay, yeah.
And
a lot of people were, yeah.
Everybody was bored.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I was watching that show a lot, and I was actually talking to Sabrina about it, and she just said, why don't you make your own? And it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, I felt like my life warranted a show. We were always up to some funny weird stuff, and I just started it. But also at the time, we had no school and no jobs, so it was the perfect time to do it. And also everybody was a little bit glum, depressed, or bored, so it was kind of my way of beautifying our lives and making weird activities happen every day.
Yeah.
So that was really a great time for me. Since I went back to school, it was a little bit hard to continue, and that is something I really want to bring back because it's very close to my heart.
Yeah.
And it's kind of was a way for me to bring people together and also kind of uplift everybody in what they were doing, because it wasn't just shenanigans. It was some artist interviews, older people were in it, younger people were in it. It was kind of a way to bring different age groups together.
Yeah.
And a way to freeze time a little bit. And it's been years since I've done it, because when I went back to school, I also soon moved into my own apartment, and I just started to have to worry about rent, finishing school. So right now I'm doing consulting and video stuff, and I'm also starting a clothing line.
Cool.
But it's a lot. There's so many things going on. I feel like a lot of people in New York end up doing 5 different things at once.
What do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none, something like that.
Yeah, I really would prefer if I could just focus on 2 things,
So you said you have a clothing line coming out soon? If
Yes.
you could tell us more about that, that's really cool.
It's called Poison Candy Apple.
I love that.
It's really supposed to be an extension of my style and my vibe.
Cool.
And I've consult for clothing brands sometimes, and I just, my boyfriend one day was like, why don't you just do it yourself? Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I have people in my life who are like, why don't you just like do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of are into this, like, what's stopping you from like doing it on your own terms?
Well, it's great that you are doing it on your own, because a lot of people will hear that and they're like, no, I have to do this.
I didn't think I could do it.
You didn't really?
I mean, I used to just not really know what it would be exactly.
Okay.
And I was in Tokyo a few years ago, and it all kind of like all the visual language from my show, other things I like, other things I've made kind of all came together. And every outlet I choose is kind of so I can just keep doing my thing. And that seems to be something, like, if it took off, which I obviously really want it to, it would allow me to take time to do my show and like kind of have more creative freedom just in my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, you could have the cast wear all your clothes too. Keep pushing.
Something like that. But also, like, if I make a lot of money with my brand, I don't have to worry about like doing jobs I don't want to do that badly, and then I could do my show.
Yeah.
The show was the perfect thing to do when we didn't have to worry about like work and stuff like that, because it felt like a weird thing to kind of like push out when I was overwhelmed with like finishing my last year of college, whatever.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel right to not give it 100%. So I kind of like put it on pause. I also got a little bit depressed.
After like...
A little bit when I went back to school and when COVID stopped, I felt like maybe... I don't know, maybe this is normal, but like I kind of felt like a lot of people around me were just like not really doing much that inspired me at the moment. I felt like everybody was kind of like just going out and like drinking a lot, and it didn't feel as like... I feel like we like had to find really inventive ways to have fun during COVID, and it felt like after that stopped, it was just kind of like back to normal, kind of boring.
Yeah, I think there was a huge surge of people partying right after. I mean... Yeah.
I don't blame them, it's okay, like we're young, but like I didn't really feel like I had anything I wanted to film at the time. But now I have so many ideas. I just keep worrying about like, making enough money to like pay my rent and stuff. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, I'm just gonna like spend a whole week or a whole month filming like funny like stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the hard part about being a creative in New York.
It's kind of a privilege to be able to make art like 24/7.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, beyond that, were there any challenges you faced, when you were filming the show, maybe in terms of like getting all your friends together, getting them on board with like, I guess the script and the creative that you were doing? Because it's honestly watching
there was no script.
It was all improvised?
It was, I mean, sometimes like one day I would be like, okay, like we're gonna do a fake wedding in Tompkins, and then I would just make my friends like, I'd make somebody like officiate the wedding, and then I'd make a friend like walk me down the aisle, and they would just make it up as they go. Nothing was really scripted. I can't think of anything that really was. I would plan skits and plan different setups, but nothing was like, we didn't write lines. Something that I felt like maybe was like a challenge in the beginning was like getting people to be comfortable with me just filming them all the time, but that wasn't really an issue. Everybody was just like having a great time, and I also feel like especially after it came out, people wanted to be in it a little bit, and people would think it's really fun when I brought the camera out, and I think after a few episodes came out, people like, were used to it, and like, if anything, maybe wanted to be like kind of like captured in it.
Did you have any experience filming and editing before the show? Because it's really well produced. I'm like... Thank you. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
My first project I edited was Sabrina's telephone music video.
Okay, cool.
I didn't know how to edit before, but that was a bunch of footage I shot, and I like took 6 months to edit it because I was learning how to edit through it. And I'd edited like a bunch and like produced a bunch of things before that. Like I made a little movie called Big Bad Wolf, My Recent Experience with Romance, that I premiered at Anthology.
Cool.
After a sour romantic experience. That was kind of like my healing process, but it was really funny. It was really dramatic. I'd done it a bunch of times because I was already working doing videos and stuff, but the show was definitely by far my most involved, like kind of project with like so many different components.
Mm-hmm.
There was animations, like all this weird stuff.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can do what that show is. It's very like
Thank you.
unique and, you know, perfect for what it is.
Thank you. I actually heard somewhere that maybe this is a lie, but I think I saw it on the internet that public access TV is going to become like available to broadcast on again. So
Okay.
maybe it'll come back out on public access TV.
That'd be really cool.
It would be like a very be definitely like a huge nod to Kid America Club.
Yeah. So I also know that you have some history making tattoo books.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm actually working on another one.
Very cool.
And thank you.
Yeah.
That was fun. I made those before I even had tattoos because I was like, I really like tattoos and I was scared to get them. And I also was like always into like funky things.
Wait,
And
what was the fear about, like
tattoos?
the pain or the?
Probably my dad like raised me being like, I hate tattoos.
Yeah.
Like they're really bad. And I just thought I like shouldn't get them for some reason. And I was super into them. There was also all these tattoo artists I really liked and like probably wanted work from.
Cool.
So I decided to Will Sheldon, who did this poison apple tattoo.
Oh, very cool. That's a nod to the brand, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. I
Cool.
woke up one day and I was like, I don't know why I want a poison apple on my arm.
That's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's like there's only one here. It's kind of like video game character
Yeah.
to just have one thing.
And you're the only person that has that too, right? It's completely unique.
You know, it probably other people have it.
Okay.
It's a Snow White thing, but
Okay, cool.
I don't know anybody else that has it here. It is a nod to my brand. I mean, I came up with this before I came up with the name for my brand.
Very cool.
I feel like it's very like New York Princess Snow White vibes. You know what I mean? It's like
Like
the
that.
apple is like New York.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I love Will Sheldon's work, and I saw him at this dinner, and I was like, I really want to make a book of temporary tattoos. Would you want to be in it? And he said yes. So that kind of helped me start it off, and then I kept doing it.
So the book kind of came about because you hadn't had tattoos before, and you were like trying to dive into.
I probably secretly wanted tattoos from all
Yeah.
these people, and I also wanted to make an art book that felt like kind of novelty,
Cool.
like a mix of high and low. Like it was all these like kind of like tattoo artists that are big in New York that people want tattoos from, and they make also really amazing art, but it can be enjoyed in a novelty fashion, like
Yeah.
a temporary tattoo.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So I know that you did a tattoo book for Marc Jacobs. How did that come about?
That came about because my friend Ava is the creative director, and she really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think she was just like, do you want to do one for us? And I said yes. And we got some cool people in that one. It was a lot of my friends and like tattoo artists that I know, but also Ed Templeton was in it, and Blade, she
Cool.
asked, and Harmony Korine.
Very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then
you.
so the next tattoo book, what's the deal with that one?
This one's it's more like just tattoo artists and like artists that are my friends.
Cool.
And I'm making it with this bookstore in San Diego called Lang Books. So the first one I published, the second one Mark published, and now Lang Books is publishing. And
That's awesome.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My boyfriend is a really awesome tattoo artist.
Very cool.
I'm having him do the cover.
What's his name?
His name's Life.
Life?
He
Cool.
actually gave me my first tattoo.
Which one is that?
It's a Paul Frank skull.
Very cool.
And then he gave me this little blue bear
Very cool.
and these like S's. They're like kind of like the S's people draw
How
in
many
their
tattoos
notebooks.
do you have now?
I have 5.
5. And which one is your favorite?
Probably the apple. It's very me.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I like them all, but I think the apple is like, it's become very meaningful to me.
So after you got your first tattoo, was there like kind of like a reflection you had like after like kind of being opposed to getting one for such a long time?
There was, I think, like looking back, my boyfriend like does them, and he was kind of just like, why don't you just have one?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why I'm so scared of getting one. And I kind of wanted one, so I was like, I'll just get one. I think I maybe felt more like a little bit free, which is kind of like funny and silly and like cliche to say, but I was just like, whatever.
Yeah, liberating.
It was a little bit liberating, yeah,
Cool. I kind of want to ask you some questions now that are on this script,
for sure.
and they get a little deeper. So I guess I want to ask you about your early career now.
Okay.
What were the early days like in your career?
Um,
How were you spending your time? Where did you find inspiration?
Early days, I kind of started working when I was like 14 or 15
Mhm.
at V Files,
Okay, cool.
which is not far from here. It was like a store, kind of like a Colette or
That's
like
a pretty young
Ooga
age to
Booga.
get a job. How did that kind of come about?
I was just, I think I was just in high school and like it was really weird. I had like a weird existential crisis and I was like, I don't know what I really want to do with myself. Like,
Mhm.
I had like probably like stuff going on in my family and I just wanted to feel like in control or like in charge of my life or like I knew where I was going. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know it's a young age to really think like that, but I had like a meltdown and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with myself. I don't know if I'm like figuring it out here. So I don't remember how it happened. I mean, I actually think I was just hanging around there and like shopping and stuff. And Danielle, the buyer, was like, hey, like, do you want to intern one day? And Sabrina had already been working there. I met her there, actually. She came up to me and she was like, hey, I'm Sabrina. Like, I work here.
Cool.
So we both interned there when we were young. And Danielle really kind of taught me how to be like a young professional woman.
That's awesome.
She was super cool. I think she might have been like just like a little older than me when I was interning.
Yeah.
And I
Good
just kind
mentor
of
though.
amazing mentor. She would help me with like boy stuff. Like
Cool.
she would like help me, find cool things to wear. She showed me cool music. And
That's awesome.
thanks.
Yeah.
She was great. I kind of just shouted at her and like, watched what she was doing. And those were really early days. I was like first exposed to like doing kind of like they did these video series. I would do those with them and I
Okay,
also
cool.
kind of would like work in the shop and that kind of got me like out there. After that, those were like super early days. After that, I was finishing high school. I worked at Stussy. I started like shooting stuff.
Cool.
I worked at Stussy in my gap year. Just to like have a job and like make some extra money. And I was working for X Girl at the time too, doing shoots every month and also doing their PR, like kind of like sending stuff out to girls.
Cool.
And then after that, when I really started to feel like I was coming into my own as like an artist and like video, like filmmaker, whatever, was honestly kind of through doing videos with Sabrina.
Okay, cool.
Because I had a camera. My friend Gabe, one day was just like, you should get this camera.
Which camera?
It was a JVC Super VHS. And he was like, just get this camera. And I started bringing it around and like filming all of this. We were really young, so I wasn't working like all that much, but I definitely was like gaining experience, like, through doing all those things I just mentioned. But we were really just like outside. Like we had so much energy. We would go like to parties and just like go like do fun stuff all the time. We were young. And I started shooting these little videos. And Sabrina one day was just like, do you want to make a music video? And I was like, what? Like, I just didn't really like know how to edit at all.
Yeah.
I think through doing that, I kind of found my, I feel like that was the first like video I ever did, period. I think doing that kind of helped me come into my own a little bit as like an artist and got me comfortable like doing that more consistently.
That's awesome that, you have such a creative group of friends that, can invite you to do something like that.
It was a blessing.
Yeah. I'm sure like you probably didn't feel as much pressure too because, it was with a friend.
No, I didn't. Actually, sometimes I did
Yeah.
because it meant so much to me. Like everything I did meant a lot to me even at that time. And I took it really seriously. It took me so long to finish because I needed it to be perfect. And then it was, we love that video so much.
That's great.
Thank you.
I guess I want to stay on the early career for a little bit longer.
You can continue to, it's good to like reminisce and like think about it. You can ask me as many questions as you want about that.
Yeah, I guess who was your greatest influence at that age? Was it your mentor or was it somebody else? And do you still feel their influence in your work or how you live today?
That's a hard question.
Okay.
Wow. I'm going to have to maybe come back to you about that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
All right. Can you recall any moments?
Honestly, a lot of people around me at the time. Yeah.
Okay. You can name any specific names if you want, but
I'm trying to think. I'm really trying to think. I don't think it was just one person at the time.
It takes a village.
It took a village, yeah.
Cool.
Truly.
That's the vibe I get from you, which is awesome. Like real, like great talent often does take a village. So
totally.
So my question was this. So I know that you're good friends with Adam Zoo, and
he's one of my best friends.
Yeah. So like him and I guess the whole community around you guys. How did you guys kind of become friends? And I guess originally just build into the community that you guys are in today.
He was older than me. Like, I mean, he's older than me. He was. When I was like 15, I was my friend Sophie, who was my friend Lily from middle school, is like older sister. And I like became friends. I also met him through my friend Sahara. I met him through older friends of mine, and like I was kind of like young and like awkward and like a little bit weird. So at first we would be like partying at his house, and it'd kind of be like, what? Who's this like child here? And then I got older, and then we just started running into each other at more parties, and then we just became good friends. And at my 18th birthday, he like brought all these people and like made it really fun for me. Cool. And like since he's always like looked out for me and like been he's also a big source of inspiration. Like we kind of motivate each other a lot. Awesome. And he's a really good friend. We all just became friends just by being around, being around like. I mean, it sounds a little bit like funny, but like just literally just being around the East Village and like Tompkins. Yeah.
Cool.
Honestly, like just like I met him through like mutual friends.
Okay, cool. And where'd you guys go to high school?
I went to Beacon for a year and a half. Okay. And then I went to Fusion, and he went to Eunice, I think. Actually, he always, since we were younger and like today still, has always like curated art shows and like put on like art shows and like had like Onyx play and had like other friends in bands come play. And I remember he did an art show, and like he was like, you should show something. And it was like the first time I ever like displayed my art. I was quite shy, but he did that for so many people, and they were always his friends. Like he'd be like, he just kind of had a way of like organically helping people grow accustomed to the idea of like putting their art out there and like being confident in it and like making it a really fun thing for everybody to enjoy. That was like really, really kind of pivotal for me growing up around him. Like he always was like doing stuff like that. That's awesome. And I was, like at the time I didn't know anybody else who was like making like an art show. He was kind of the first one I knew doing it. Cool. And I think that inspired like a lot of other people around us and even myself. So Adam was like a bit of like the nucleus of like the whole network in a way. Honestly, like he probably wouldn't, maybe he would say that. Maybe he wouldn't want to toot his own horn like that, but kind of, I think so. Really cool. Yeah, because now that I think about it, when I was young, nobody was like, I'm doing an art show like all the time. Like he was always that guy. And he never was like, this is like the theme of the show. He would have like little themes sometimes. Okay. He would like have like a name, and he would like, it would be like in cool spots. Yeah. He probably had other friends that were doing it, but like in my direct, like in my circle, like in my eyes, like that was him to me. Cool. Yeah. Were there any cool parties attached to those shows? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Really nice. Cool and fun, and like, yeah, now that I think about it, like there was so many different avenues to meet him because he skated. So I probably also met him like with some of my friends who skated. He would have really fun parties. Would you ever skate as well? No, so scary. And also, I was like shy and weird. Yeah. Yeah. No. He had really fun ones. I'm trying to think. He had one at Spencer Sweeney's art studio. Okay. That was really cool. Like Spencer just saw Onyx playing on his roof and asked our friend Arel, like, who are those kids? And she was like, oh yeah, it's like Adam, because he lives in Chinatown, quite near me. And they like met each other, Spencer and Adam, and then Spencer was like, why don't you just come to my like studio every Sunday and bring a bunch of people? And he did this thing called Heads, Spencer, And Adam would bring a bunch of people, and there'd be like free wine and food and like crazy music. Like sometimes Onyx playing, sometimes like crazy like jazz people like that I've never heard of. Sometimes there'd be like a weird like light show happening. And it was a really fun, like very community oriented like thing that we did every week. And then the space suddenly like just got covered with art like as time went on, and then Adam did a show there that was really fun, and Sabrina played that and Onyx played it, and I took a video, like part of that's in the telephone video.
Cool.
That was really cool.
Does that place still exist?
It doesn't. It's like now it might be like a restaurant. I don't know what's there.
Where was it?
It was across from his house because Spencer saw Adam like while Adam was on the roof.
Wow.
Playing with Onyx. Yeah.
Dang, I hope it's a good restaurant at least.
I don't know, that whole area is now like it used to be so like low key and kind of like seedy, and now it's like kind of a little trendy. There's like some like little wine bars.
That's what happens. Can you recall any moments of struggle, pain, or frustration at the early days of your career?
At the time, you know, I was really young. I think my dad had just moved to France, and that was probably really tough for me. Like, honestly, that was probably why I like went so hard and tried to be like a young professional, like woman. Like, you know, it was probably like a little bit of a distraction, but also like a way to kind of like make myself feel powerful and like make myself kind of feel like good. You know, it having control over that and like having gratification from like doing stuff like that kind of got me through anything that was difficult in those years.
That's awesome. It's good that you took a really productive outlet for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, looking back, like I think that was a big driving force, just like getting through stuff
Cool.
at the time, like all that really helped me through.
Cool. All right. Dreams and goals. Do you have any goals that drive your work? Like a museum that you maybe want your work displayed in, or a magazine? Or something bigger?
Dreams. I really like, I mean, through creating my clothing line, there's people that really inspire me, like Nobu Kitamura, who started Hysteric Glamour. He also made Terry Richardson's first photo book, Patti Smith's first photo book.
Wow.
He has been able to do so much through just the outlet of his clothing line. And he's still going, and it's still a thing, and it's still very true to him, and that really inspires me. I want to create something that lasts a really long time and that allows me to do all my other things, because I love making books. I want to do my show. I want to make toys. I want to make everything.
Oh, wow.
I've always kind of wanted to do everything.
If you want to make toys, actually, I know a guy for that. So,
oh, really?
Unless you already have somebody for that, but I do know a guy
I would love to find out.
Yeah.
I mean, my dream is to kind of just like do everything I'm doing on a larger scale and create something that lasts a really long time.
Cool.
And he really inspired me. Like, I was around him when I kind of like came up with what I wanted to do for my brand. When all the pieces started coming together and making sense, he was like, I was in Japan and I would talk to him about it, and he got it right away. And something I really want to do is create like a Japan to New York pipeline with whatever I'm doing. It's like my favorite place in the world. So I would love to like, you know, have a store there, have a store here, but be able to create something that allows me to do everything else I want to do, and also, you know, publish things for other people and like make projects, you know, happen for other people. That's kind of the whole point. Like, everything I've always done has always kind of been about like not just like me, but also like everything my friends are doing, because it's hard for me to say if one person inspired me the most when I was younger. It's kind of always been like everything at once.
Well, it's good that you're very community driven.
I totally am, like in a real way, I feel like.
Cool. All right, awesome.
Thank you.
So I guess playing off that, what's the biggest, loftiest dream you have for yourself in your art?
That's a really big question. I really have to think about that.
All right, no worries. How do you keep yourself motivated as a creator?
Sometimes it's hard. I keep myself motivated by, I don't know, it's hard to not be in New York. You can't really like loaf around and be lazy.
Yeah. I drink a lot.
There's been times where I really wasn't. you know?
Yeah.
There's been times where I've been like kind of down and kind of not inspired by my surroundings, and I haven't been motivated, but something that keeps me motivated is like, I think wanting to, some people say that the best part of New York is leaving and the second best part is coming back.
Yeah.
I really want to go other places. I don't want to just like sit here. So something that drives me is like, you know, the prospect of like doing something with my brand in Tokyo,
Yeah.
or like, you know, just doing stuff like that.
Is there anywhere else besides Japan or Tokyo that you'd go to that you maybe have on your agenda?
A bunch of places.
Yeah.
I mean, Tokyo for like work though.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I feel like I don't know. I mean I should think about this more.
Yeah, it's good that we're asking it.
Yeah, it's a good question.
All right, cool. Well, what are some of the things that are essential to your work? What are the indispensable tools for your artistic expression and production?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
I spaced out a little bit.
I guess,
sorry. I was thinking about the lofty dream.
Yeah, we can keep thinking about it. We don't need to move forward.
I really want to have like an amazing fashion show one day though.
Oh yeah, wow. That'd be
That's
cool.
kind of like an old like Heatherette fashion show.
Yeah.
Heatherette was this brand that was started by this club kid named Richie Rich.
Okay, yeah.
And it was very cool. Like Paris Hilton would model, and they would shoot lookbooks with David LaChapelle.
Wow.
I would love to do something like that, but I don't know. There's so many. I want to have a ice cream shop, like soda fountain that turns into a karaoke bar.
That would be so cool.
I want to have a private jet.
Actually, I do. Oh my God.
You know, so
I saw that.
my own amusement park.
Wow, that's a big dream.
I have a lot. I have a lot. Now that I think about it, I have a lot.
Okay, great. I saw in your show that actually you went to Ray's Candy Store and
He's amazing. He taught me how to make the beignets.
Yeah, I saw. Do you know his backstory?
A little bit. I know some of it.
Okay, so like I'm Persian,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's actually Persian, like from Iran, like my family is. And my friend, he's like a filmmaker. He's Iranian. He came from there, and he would go to Ray's Candy Store when he immigrated here, and like it kind of dawned on him. He was like, "Wait, like I think you're Iranian." And Ray was like, "I am. Like actually, I am. I like came to America years ago. Like this is before the Iran Revolution, and when there was like a problem with America and Iran, but he was like, you know, just coming for work on a boat, and he was like, well, I don't want to go back. He jumped off of the boat, came to New York City,
Wow.
and then just told everybody he was Puerto Rican. And like,
He doesn't seem Puerto Rican though, now that you say that.
But
He's always been a little bit like ethnically like ambiguous to me, but that makes it
very
cool.
Persian. It's an ethnically ambiguous
Cool.
people that we are. But that's his backstory, anyways. If you didn't know it.
He's been around he's seen a lot from that candy store,
Yeah.
like when it was all like tents and like crazy, like in Tompkins.
Oh yeah.
It used to be like this. It used to be called like Tent City. Like it
Okay.
was just like a lot of drugs and like homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
There was this like lady. He was like friendly with. Who her name was Hot Dog, and she was
Oh, wow.
famous for throwing a wiener dog into a fire when they would like make fires at night to like keep warm.
Interesting.
He's wild. He also always has strippers at his birthday. In
Always?
the shop. It's been like in the New York Times.
When's his birthday?
I don't know. You could probably look it up and
Probably-
find
probably
out.
find
But
out. I wanna
I've
see
been
that.
there and seen them before.
Okay, so that was his birthday. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Cool.
funny.
Wow. Yeah, well, I hope that you have your own candy shop one day. That'd be really cool.
It is kind of a dream of mine.
Yeah. Maybe you and Ray could collab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that place.
All right. I want to get back to this question, and we can skip it if you don't have an answer for it. But what are some of the things that are essential to your work? And these could be like tools, maybe like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I spaced out when you first asked me that, but now I know. Definitely, obviously, my camera.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, do you mean like in a literal way?
I mean, it can be literal. It can be philosophical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being happy. I need to be like happy
Yeah.
and not like stressed out. And like actually sometimes being not happy is really essential. And sometimes I've like made things when I've been really upset and really distraught. So
Yeah.
just basically having like an intense feeling, whether it's like being overjoyed and like wanting to freeze time
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to like capture everything. Like that's when I made Story of My Fucking Life.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can be when I'm like really depressed and like really upset and really hurt, which is when I made Big Bad Wolf, my recent experience with romance, my first little short movie. So just like feeling, I know that kind of sounds basic, but like
no, not
some
at all.
people can just make things all the time. Like I need to be like either really happy or like something needs to be going on.
Yeah.
Other than that, probably I have a lot of like little books and like references that are very special at my house that like kind of like if I'm stuck working for like if I'm like you know meant to put something together for a brand or like whatever and like I'm stuck, I like have a lot of things that I like to look through when I'm home.
That's
know?
good. Yeah.
I have a lot of cool like old magazines like Big Brother and stuff like that, and like a lot of toys and trinkets that inspire me.
What's Big Brother? I don't know that one.
Big Brother is this magazine that basically like the crew that kind of started Jackass were all like involved with this magazine.
Very cool.
It was cool.
Where'd you find that?
I found it online, but like I watched the Big Brother documentary with Life, and it was really inspiring to us.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Can you tell me about a time when you persevered, pushed through, and overcame a challenge?
I think maybe this past year when I was like trying to figure out like how to start my clothing line.
Yeah.
It feels like I was like incubating for like a year and like experimenting with it for a year. And sometimes it became really hard for me to wrap my head around. And I never really wanted to give up because I have a friend who was like generous enough to like give me some money to like play with and experiment with. Oh, thank you. I assumed that I was just gonna like figure it out right away, and it's really hard. So now I'm finally at this place where I feel like I know how to make certain things happen.
Cool.
And I know what I'm doing now, and it feels like that was maybe the most recent like challenge I've had to overcome, like, you know, not being able to see it happen right away. I can be really impatient.
Yeah.
So like maybe it not working out right away, actually not maybe, like it was a challenge for me. I thought maybe am I wasting time? Like am I doing this wrong? Sometimes I was very down on myself. Sometimes I put a lot of pressure on myself. But now that everything's kind of fallen into place and I've like had time to develop my ideas and I've like gained some insight, I feel a lot better about that.
Awesome.
Thanks.
How do you feel like having been here in New York like your whole life and being a creative person here, seeing it change so much, especially like, I mean, I've seen it change so much. I mean, like, I guess that area in Chinatown, for instance, that they call Dime Square now, like I used to hang out there all the time before it was called that.
We used to call it, my friend Sophie, I was just with her recently and she was like, don't you remember this was just dollar beer? And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I completely forgot. It used to just be like a random little, the only reason we would be there is because there was like a random little deli that had beer for $1. It's so different now.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of creepy. Like that's honestly why I sometimes want to leave New York. I wouldn't really be able to live anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, people like you are the ones that kind of create this culture and you make, you know, the environment and the setting cool. And then, you know, after a few months or a few years, the wrong people catch on to that. And then they try to, you know, market it into something for people that are just going to ruin it.
It feels kind of like pillaged and like weird. I mean, we're having fun. Like, I mean, I enjoy myself. Like, I'm not like a bitter, really angry person.
That's great.
So I just don't really care. And like, I can laugh at things a lot. But I will say it's definitely really changed since we grew up, obviously. And sometimes I find it really corny. There's not really much places I even like to go out anymore. Yeah. And it feels just kind of stale. I really kind of desperately want to feel like more invigorated by like my surroundings.
Well, I'll tell you this. I left New York for a little bit and I think it was really healthy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that when I can. But then again, like, I don't want to leave all the time because I'm paying rent, whatever. But
oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
It would be nice if, like, you know, there's fun parties sometimes, but it would be nice if there was, like, really something, I don't know, if like there used to be, we used to really like going to China Chalet,
Yeah, that place
and
was
now
great.
it's closed, and I'm
Yeah.
like, honestly, I don't really know where I like to go anymore. It would be cool if like there was an option to have like a really amazing night out, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit kind of boring.
Did you ever go to Lola?
I did. I really didn't like it.
Yeah. People had nice
I mean, I'm
names.
sorry, because Travis, if you're hearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like all these places that pop up out of nowhere with like a weird name, and
Yeah.
then they're like done in like a month, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, wait, what's going on? Like, it'd be really amazing if there was like a new, like, classic, like, dope spot.
Do you ever feel like you kind of wish you were born in New York in a different time period from all like the crazy stories you might hear about New York in the 90s or the 80s?
I feel like it's so cheesy to say that, but I feel like everybody kind of does sometimes. You know, I can't lie. Like, of course, I probably would have been having a really good time when they shot like Kid America Club, like at that time. It looked like amazing. It looked like a really good time. There's all these like fun places that don't exist anymore, but I try to not say that all the time, because I'm sure everybody kind of thinks that at times now, especially, but it's like, I don't know, what's that gonna do for me?
Yeah, I guess you don't want to be a broken record.
Yeah, and also like I'm alive now, so
That's
what can I do? I need to just try to have fun.
Great. I love that.
I had really fun parties when I was doing my show, and I really want to do more of those.
Yeah, I mean, I guess once you start doing it again, they'll start happening again, hopefully.
Yes, I just need some sponsors, and I'll figure out a place to do it. But I had this party in Tompkins called Prompkins that was really, really fun.
It was like a prom, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it was a prom in Tompkins because a lot of the kids in the area didn't have proms.
Okay, cool.
Because school closed, whatever.
That's great.
And I did this kind of prom. Like, I mean, I had the best summer of my life for some reason during COVID. It was just so much, like, we just figured it out.
Yeah.
And then I did this prom, and it was a lot of the kids showed up like in gowns and suits because they really missed their prom. And then suddenly it was like it was like truly all ages, like every kind of like squad pulled up. And then there was like so many people in the park, and we didn't get shut down until 4, and it was really, really fun.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. It can't really happen again. Like, it was only at that time it'd be allowed.
Yeah.
And also it was in New York Magazine. It was like a little bit like dicey
Oh, wow.
of me to do, but like we all had an amazing time.
Okay, cool. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, why do you think we romanticize New York?
At like a previous time, I think honestly because of like the lack of internet presence in our lives.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's just pretty obvious. Like, there was no Instagram. Like, you would go to a party and like you just wouldn't really be like worried about like, you know, like now it's like everybody like documents shit, and like that's cool for a lot of purposes. Like, if I didn't have an Instagram, it'd probably be harder for me to get jobs. Like, I'm not hating. It definitely helped me like put myself out there and like help my friends put ourselves out there, and like it's been a really helpful tool. I can't really imagine how I would have gone about things without it. It really helped me. But like, I think we all romanticize earlier New York because there was no Instagram.
Yeah.
People would just like, it's also not only like it, maybe people feel like more aware of themselves and like whatever, like stuff like that. I feel like it also such like, I don't know, so much access to the internet and like seeing people's shit all the time like makes people different and like makes people like kind of less themselves and like a little bit more like self-conscious and like insecure. And I feel like at the time where we didn't have that, people were probably just a bit more like wild and like didn't care as much. I feel like it makes people really give a Instagram, and like it makes people a little bit more like postured and weird. And I feel like people look at pictures from like early 2000s, like the 90s, and like people didn't seem like postured or like they cared so much because they didn't have to worry about like their employer seeing them on Instagram. They didn't have to worry about like looking professional online so they can get hired for jobs. They were just like probably just like being wild and like out. And also things were cheaper. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I'm sure that helped a lot.
Like, maybe people romanticize it because like it's just, you know, there could be really cool people living here because they didn't. Now it's like a lot of just rich people who aren't from here, you know, which is whatever. But I think back then it was like, you know, more like, it was less just like It less was like a shopping mall.
Yeah.
You know, now it kind of feels like a shopping mall sometimes.
Do you feel like there is a way that this current era of New York could be romanticized?
Sometimes I have trouble thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's why I try to just like stay in my lane and like make things that make me happy and like make things that like just like kind of, I don't know, I'm somebody who's like desperately trying to feel like alive and like overjoyed. Because I'm very sensitive, so sometimes like, you know, it's not easy to feel like that all the time. I have to really try.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of my like demeanor, which is kind of very positive a lot of time, really comes from a lot of work and a lot of like tailoring the way I like view things and like kind of just like it takes work to be happy.
So like
and,
a negative thought will come in, but you'd be like, get out of here. Let's
yeah, or like
reframe
I
the
don't know. I
mindset.
just like you have to try. Like you really have to
Yeah.
try to like be happy. I'm somebody who really believes that.
No, you mean you do. I mean, even the act of smiling can help, you know, make you happier if you're not happy. I don't know
For
if you've ever
sure.
tried that, but
For
I did
sure.
sometimes.
So I would like I don't know. I'm maybe trying to always find ways to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I did my show. Whatever. I kind of find it difficult about this time. You know, I don't know why. It's like, I mean, I do know why. You just can't really like a lot of these things can't go back to how they were.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. There's not gonna not be an internet, and there's not gonna be like. I mean, there might be a time where like things feel cheaper again, but like. It's really just the way the world is going.
Yeah, we're in a wild
We're just
place
at
in
a
the
wild
world
time.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Globally, and I guess New York in a way is the epicenter of the world. So
I mean, there's just a lot of shit going down. That's just like not amazing, you know. But what can we do?
just gotta stay hopeful
Yeah.
and gotta survive.
Yeah. That's
So-
like kind of where I'm at with
Yeah,
it. You
me
know.
too.
I mean, I'm not trying to sound like Debbie Downer. Like
No, I
I'm a
mean-
pretty happy person.
It's just, I think we're just being aware of the
Yeah,
situation.
totally.
We can still be happy in these times, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think
Alright.
if people make things that are like genuine and like things that actually they like, not because they're trying to like pander to like the times or
Yeah.
like a certain group, then we'll start to get to a place where like things feel like
I feel like
raw
sometimes that's
and, like,
difficult
special.
too, though, don't you think? Because like sometimes like you'll make something completely unique, but because it's not similar to something that's already getting attention online, like
It's hard.
it like you're not breaking through the noise, especially nowadays where like you have so many different channels where media is existing on.
It's hard. Yeah, you kind of have to do like gymnastics a little bit with it.
Yeah. Well, I believe in you.
Thank you.
I guess we kind of already brushed on this, but you know, can talk about your current and future career. Really, the future. Like, well, do you have any current work that you consider your masterpiece? Something special and personal to you?
I feel like I've talked about this show so much, but really I feel like the show is so me, and
Alright.
like the show is so I don't know.
Well, for people watching, definitely watch
Yeah,
the
check it
show.
out.
Yeah,
I feel like that's definitely one of them.
yeah.
Also, all of my music videos I did for Sabrina. I also did this like window display with Life, my boyfriend,
Mhm.
and our friend Leander at Louis Vuitton, which
Whoa.
I'm really
That's really
proud
cool.
of. Like when I look back on that.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Could
Thanks
you-
to my friend Chris Kennedy.
Hell yeah. Could you tell people the name of your show too, so they can look it up?
It's called Story of My Fucking Life. It's on
Sick.
YouTube. I honestly feel like that's my masterpiece. It's the most like
Yeah.
Manon thing that exists.
It's really cool. Like
Thank you.
I'm gonna dive in the rest of the episodes later.
Thank you. It's very pure.
It's really pure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, let's start to end it. Do you know what you want to create next? I know you mentioned your fashion line. If there's anything else.
I wanna finish that. I mean, it's like that's like a lot. I
Mhm.
want to finish that. I want to get back to doing my show. I want to do a pop-up in Japan.
Okay.
Um,
All of it's being manifested right now too, as you say it.
totally.
Yeah.
And I want to just keep doing my thing. It kind of changes every day. There's so many things I want to do.
All right. Final question. Where can people find your work?
My website, my Instagram.
Can you tell us the names of them?
My Instagram is Ming Bling Bling, MING BLING. And my website is manonmacasaet.com.
Amazing. Well, Manon, thank you so much for coming today, and appreciate you answering all these questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
AT1.
At Sometimes Somewhere is produced by Audio-Technica for AT1 Radio. It is recorded at AT1 Studio at Technica House, New York. Follow AT1 Radio and Audio-Technica USA on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening.